I always loved Christmas. The lights, the music, the presents. It was the most wonderful time of the year. But this Christmas, everything changed. And I wish I could go back to the way things were. It started with a knock on the door. I was home alone, waiting for my parents to come back from their last-minute shopping. I thought it was them, so I ran to the door and opened it. But it wasn't them. It was a man dressed in a Santa suit, holding a big sack. He had a long white beard, a red nose, and a jolly smile. He looked like the real Santa. "Hello, little one," he said. "Merry Christmas. I have a special present for you." I was surprised, but also curious. What could it be? A new bike? A video game? A puppy? "What is it?" I asked. He winked at me and said, "Why don't you come with me and find out? I have a sleigh waiting outside. We can go for a ride and see the world." I hesitated. I knew I shouldn't go with strangers, even if they looked like Santa, but he seemed so nice and friendly, and I wanted to see his sleigh. Maybe he was the real Santa after all. "Okay," I said, "but only for a little while. My parents will be back soon." He smiled and said, "Don't worry, we'll be back before they notice. Come on, let's go." He took my hand and led me outside. There was a sleigh parked on the street with 8 reindeer. It looked amazing. He helped me get in and sat next to me. He took the reins and said, "Ho, ho, ho! On Dasher, on Dancer, on Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all!" The sleigh lifted off the ground and flew into the sky. I felt a rush of excitement and wonder. I looked down and saw the city below me, sparkling with lights. I looked up and saw the stars and the moon. I felt like I was in a dream. "Wow," I said, "this is amazing." He chuckled and said, "I'm glad you like it. It's not every day you get to fly with Santa." He reached into his sack and pulled out a wrapped box. He handed it to me and said, "Here you go. This is your present. Go ahead, open it." I tore off the paper and opened the box. Inside was a doll. It looked like me. It had the same hair, the same eyes, the same clothes. It even had a name tag that said, "Hello, my name is user's name." I gasped. How did he know my name? How did he make a doll that looked like me? "Wow," I said. "How did you do this?" He smiled and said, "It's magic. I have a special machine that can make anything I want. I just need a sample of your DNA, a hair, a nail, a drop of blood. Anything will do." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a pair of scissors. He said, "And now, I need one more thing from you, a little piece of your soul." He grabbed my hair and cut it with the scissors. I felt a sharp pain in my head. I screamed and tried to get away, but he held me tight. He said, "Don't be afraid. It won't hurt much. It's for a good cause. You see, I'm not the real Santa. I'm his evil twin, and I have a plan to ruin Christmas for everyone. I'm going to replace all the children in the world with dolls that look like them. And then, I'm going to use their souls to power my machine and make more dolls. And then, I'm going to take over the world." "Ho, ho, ho." He laughed maniacally and cut more of my hair. I felt more pain and more fear. I realized I was in a nightmare, and I didn't know how to wake up. He laughed maniacally and cut more of my hair. I felt more pain and more fear. I realized I was in a nightmare, and I didn't know how to wake up. But then, I heard a familiar voice. It was my mom. She was calling my name. She sounded worried. She said, "Honey, where are you? We're home. Come downstairs. We have a surprise for you." I felt a surge of hope. Maybe this was my chance to escape. Maybe this was all a bad dream. I shouted, "Mom! Dad! Help me! I'm here! I'm in the sleigh!" The man in the Santa suit heard me. He looked angry. He said, "Shut up! You're ruining everything! You're not going anywhere!" He grabbed a knife from his sack and stabbed me in the chest. I felt a sharp pain and then nothing. I saw blood on his hands and on my clothes. I saw his face twisted with evil. I saw his eyes, cold and cruel. I saw his mouth saying, "Merry Christmas, you little brat." And then, everything went black. I woke up with a start. I was in my bed, in my room. It was morning. The sun was shining through the window. I heard birds singing outside. I smelled pancakes and bacon downstairs. I felt a warm blanket around me. I felt alive. I touched my chest. There was no wound. There was no blood. There was no pain. It was a miracle. I jumped out of bed and ran downstairs. I saw my parents in the kitchen. They looked happy. They smiled and hugged me. They said, "Merry Christmas, sweetie. We're so glad you're awake. We have a surprise for you." It was supposed to be a fun and relaxing Christmas getaway for Raj and his girlfriend Priya, along with their two friends Ravi and Neha. They had rented a cozy cabin in the woods, away from the hustle and bustle of the city. They planned to enjoy the snow, the fireplace, and each other's company. But things took a dark turn when they discovered a mysterious box under the Christmas tree. It was wrapped in red paper and had a tag that read, "To the four of you from Santa Claus." Curious, they opened it and found 4 dolls inside, each resembling one of them. They laughed it off as a prank, but soon realized that the dolls were more than just toys. They started to notice strange things happening around the cabin. The lights flickered, the doors slammed, the windows cracked. They heard footsteps, whispers, and screams. They felt cold, pain, and fear. And they saw that the dolls were changing too. They had cuts, bruises, and burns on their bodies, mirroring the injuries they had suffered. They tried to escape, but it was too late. The cabin was surrounded by a thick fog, and they could not find their way out. They were trapped, and they knew they were not alone. There was something else in the cabin, something evil, something that wanted them dead. They realized that the dolls were not a gift, but a curse. They were a link between them and the entity that haunted the cabin. And the only way to break the curse was to destroy the dolls. But how could they do that when the dolls felt everything they felt, and when every move they made could be their last? They had to find out who sent them the box and why. They had to find out the truth behind the cabin and its dark history. They had to find out how to survive and how to save each other. They had to find out before it was too late. Sure, I can try to expand the story for you. Here is a possible continuation. They decided to split up and search the cabin for clues. Raj and Priya went to the basement, while Ravi and Neha went to the attic. They hoped to find something that could help them understand their situation and maybe a way to contact the outside world. Raj and Priya descended the wooden stairs, holding hands and flashlights. The basement was dark and damp, and they could smell mold and rot. They saw shelves full of dusty books, jars of preserved animals, and old furniture covered with cobwebs. They also noticed a large metal door with a padlock and a sign that read, "Do not enter." "What do you think is behind that door?" Priya asked, feeling a chill down her spine. "I don't know, and I don't want to find out," Raj said, shaking his head. "Let's look around and see if we can find anything useful." They began to examine the books and jars, hoping to find some clues. They found titles like The Necronomicon, The Book of the Dead, and The Rituals of the Damned. They also found jars containing eyes, hearts, brains, and other organs. They felt sick and disgusted and wondered who lived in this cabin before them. They heard a loud thud from upstairs, followed by a scream. They recognized it as Neha's voice, and they dropped everything and ran back to the stairs. "Neha! Ravi! Are you guys okay?" Raj shouted as he and Priya climbed the stairs. They reached the main floor and saw blood on the floor and walls. They followed the trail to the living room, where they saw a horrifying sight. Neha was lying on the couch, her throat slit and her eyes wide open. Ravi was on the floor, his chest stabbed and his mouth gagged. and next to them, on the coffee table, were the two dolls, covered in blood and holding knives. They screamed and backed away, unable to believe what they saw. They looked at each other and realized that they were next. They ran to the front door, hoping to escape, but it was locked. They tried to break it, but it was too strong. They were trapped, and they knew they had to fight back. They grabbed whatever they could find, a fireplace poker, a kitchen knife, a candlestick. They approached the dolls, ready to destroy them. But as they got closer, they felt a sharp pain in their bodies, as if they were being stabbed. They looked at the dolls and saw that they were smiling. They realized that the dolls were connected to them, and that whatever they did to the dolls, they would feel too. They dropped their weapons and fell to the ground, writhing in agony. They looked at each other and saw the fear and despair in their eyes. They knew they were going to die, and they wished they had never opened that box. It was December 23rd, the bitter chill of midnight wrapping around Yuletide Manor like a sinister embrace. I found myself ensnared in the heart of the isolated estate, my stay meant to oversee its restoration into a holiday retreat. Little did I know, the festivities of the season would dissolve into a symphony of sinister whispers echoing through the halls. Each night seemed to stretch into eternity, the clock's hands moving slower as if trapped in the clutches of the manor's eerie influence. Strange occurrences plagued my stay, escalating as Christmas Eve loomed closer. Shadows danced where none should exist, footsteps echoed in empty corridors, and ornaments rearranged themselves on the skeletal branches of the long-forgotten Christmas tree. My curiosity battled with fear, urging me to uncover the secrets hidden within the manor's darkened history. It was on the stroke of midnight, on December 24th, that I delved into dusty tomes and forgotten archives, unearthing tales of a tragic family once bound to this place, their lives marred by unspeakable tragedy during the joyous season they once cherished. The chilling truth emerged, an ancient curse woven into the very fabric of Yuletide Manor, tethering restless spirits to its walls, hungry for retribution. The specters, denied their peace, sought to ensnare the living, desperate to communicate their anguish, their tormented whispers etching dreadful tales into my sleepless nights. On the cusp of December 25th, in the dead of one harrowing night, the barrier between the realms ruptured. Apparitions materialized, their mournful wails echoing through the manor's corridors. Desperate to escape, I fled through the labyrinthine passages, the air thick with the oppressive weight of their sorrowful presence. But on the stroke of 3 a.m., in the heart of the labyrinth, I confronted the source of their agony, a forgotten chamber, frozen in time, holding the remnants of a tragic family's last moments. In that chilling space, surrounded by echoes of the past, I understood their plea: release them from their spectral shackles, break the curse, and set their souls free. With trembling hands, I performed the ancient ritual hidden within the tomes, breaking the curse that had held them captive for centuries. As the first rays of dawn pierced the darkness on December 25th, a serene calm settled over the manor. The once tormented spirits faded into the ethereal light, their anguished whispers dissipating like morning mist. Yuletide Manor stood in silent repose, its walls no longer haunted. And as I stepped into the dawn's embrace, the icy grip of fear released me, leaving behind a tale of spectral tragedy turned to peaceful rest, a story of a haunting Christmas past finally put to rest.